Friends, this talk is in response to requests from a lot of people to tell you a little bit about living with Corona. As you know, the COVID-19 pandemic has affected nearly every country. And for us in India, we are going through a very bad phase at the moment. But this was expected, this was predicted. And ICMR has now said that the peak will probably be in November, which means till about December, January, we will have to learn to live with the virus. So I'm just going to talk to you about the virus, about the host response, and about some of the environmental factors to try and tell you how we should try and we don't need to embrace the virus, but we need to learn to live with the virus so that we can have a normal lifestyle, so that we can continue to grow as a family, as a community. The first thing is about the virus itself. The COVID-19 virus has got two major weaknesses. The first one is that this virus cannot survive on its own. It cannot survive in the air. So any spread that happens is through droplets. And that's why we say that we should wear masks. So though the virus does not float around in the air, does not fly around in the air, it cannot do that, we want to try and prevent, supposing I am infected, I should not spread that through the droplets while I speak. And that's why I wear a mask, and you should also wear a mask. The second is that the virus, because it cannot survive without a host, we are the hosts. So if we are careful, the virus cannot move from one destination to the other. So therefore we wash hands, we use sanitizers, and this common term called social distancing, which I am not at all comfortable with. I use the term physical distancing. So therefore we stay apart, but at the same time, as a society, we need to keep in touch with one another. And therefore, we need the society to move forward together, even as we observe physical distancing. This is the first thing I wanted to say about the virus. The second part of this is the fact that the spread will occur. The good thing is that 85% of people who are infected are asymptomatic. So you may never even know. The reason why we advocate testing strategies in large numbers is for us to identify people who are infected and try and prevent it from spreading. But remember, a large percentage of people may never even know that they got infected, and there may not be any symptoms at all. For those who have symptoms, you know the symptoms. It is dry, irritating sensation in the throat, dry cough, fever, sometimes it's even high fever, fatigue, you can lose your smell and taste for a short period. What we now know is that there is a fall in the level of oxygen, so giving oxygen becomes important. We found that steroids helps. So there are some strategies, some drugs that have come out. So it's not as bad as we thought initially. Things are very hopeful, and epidemiologists say that up to about 50% of people will get infected before this pandemic comes to a halt. So we have therefore said, those who are infected would stay in quarantine for 14 days. A lot of it might depend on the load of the virus. So the virulence of the virus and the quantity of the virus in each person sometimes determines how it spreads and how much it affects the individual. So therefore, the immunity of the host becomes very important. And this is the other thing that we all need to keep in mind, that we need to remain healthy. So even as we remain in our homes, having a good healthy diet, exercise, moving around, being active becomes very important. And in your homes, may I request you not to close the windows and doors all the time, because it is important for fresh air to come in. Unless you need to, don't use the air conditioners. Leave the windows and doors open so that there would be a flow of fresh air, and you'll find that the infection will not spread as much as you think it will. Improving our immunity becomes important because those of us who have comorbidities like heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, you're a little more prone to the infection. The elderly are more prone to the infection. The young people, even if they get it, recover very quickly. So the message that I want to leave with you is that we need to remain healthy, remain active. See what happens in a lockdown. We had a problem here at the Believers Church Medical College Hospital. In 10 days, we had 5 patients coming with abdomen all bloated up. Actually, finally, we had 16 patients who during the lockdown phase, these were people above the age of 60, people who've had abdominal surgeries earlier, were remaining locked down, ate a lot of chakka, a lot of jackfruit, and that led to this abdominal distension, obstruction. We had to advise them. We managed 15 of them without surgeries. Only one needed a surgical procedure, but we started telling everyone, be careful not to eat too much fiber. It could be jackfruit, it could be mangoes, it could be any situation where you have a lot of fiber in the food. And if you had surgery before, if you're locked down, if you're not taking enough exercise, if you're moving around, doing a lot of exercise, walking regularly. So my recommendation to each one of you is that we must walk for at least 45 minutes a day. Make sure your weight, you don't gain too much weight. The ideal weight is your height in centimeters minus 100. So my height is 163 centimeters minus 100, 63 kilos will be my ideal weight. Calculate yours, and accordingly make sure that your diet is organized, the exercise is organized, and your lifestyle, try and be as active as you can. The third and the final thing is about the society in general. I think this is a health crisis, a financial crisis, an economic crisis. It's even a social crisis. I think it's important for us to remember to get over this, to get beyond this. Even while we observe physical distancing, we need to be socially alive, loving one another, caring for one another, so that as a community and as families and as a nation, we might get beyond it into, especially when we get into 2021. We are supportive of one another, supportive of the nation, so that we can really go on to build our lives again, financially, economically, socially, culturally, and as a nation, we will definitely do much better. Thank you for your patient listening.